it's going to cause some debates. I know that for a fact.
This is a deep one.
It's beyond even just Street Fighter. It's beyond fighting games. I think it extends to life itself, and it's been a topic for the ages. And we are going to tackle it here today. We're talking about hard work versus talent in fighting games, and what does it all boil down to? What's more important than the other? Is it about the unison of the two, or does one just completely override the other? And people have been discussing this for ages. It's a classic nature versus nurture argument here, and I think there's something to be said for both. But maybe I'll let Rob start it off. What do you have to say about the topic, and I'll tell you why you're obviously incorrect.
Okay, Brian. I think you're gonna completely agree with what I'm saying because it's all facts. I actually went to college for this. I'll have you know. No, I didn't.
Well, you shouldn't have given it away right now. I'm gonna have to respect your opinion a bit more.
All right. So first off, where I want to go with this is the fact that I think the reason why natural talent even comes up so often in video games. And don't get me twisted, we're not going to just stay on this, but I think the reason it gets brought up so much is because people are taking copium. So pretty much, the person I heard this the most with, two people, were Justin Wong, and actually it was Justin Wong, Taquito as well, and Punk. People I've heard talk about, with Justin, I've specifically heard people say, this guy I've seen him pick up a brand new game, he didn't even know how to play it, and he just immediately was just better than everyone. And I've seen people bring up with with Punk saying, he never even plays the game. People have debated that with me before years ago, which I thought was just the most insane thing in the world, that people really got themselves to believe something like that. And then with Taquito, we've heard plenty of times people say that Taquito is a genius. I talked to Taquito himself, and he literally said that he's like you. He said he doesn't know where people are getting that from, but he brought up how much he used to lose and get smashed, and how in Street Fighter 4 by, I think he said, Momochi and Mago and Daigo and stuff like that, and how hard he had to work to try to change his mentality and perspective to get better at this game and be the Taquito that we know to this day. When it comes to someone like Punk, I can't speak as to Justin as much, but as far as Punk, when you look at the sheer number of characters that he plays, when you look at the fact that he plays a million different fighting games, clearly that's not just natural talent there, right? So I think that when people look at, let's say, sports, you can look at LeBron James and say, he was born 6'8" and he's muscular and all. I can't jump that high. Even if I work out as hard as I want to and eat right, I would never jump that high. So that makes them comfortable, so they don't feel like they didn't accomplish something. Where it comes to something like gaming, we all have the same controllers, right? So it just feels bad to say someone just is outdoing me right now. So I think that's why that talent comes up so much. Now, what I will say though is that I believe that in a weird way, sometimes, one, natural talent does exist, but I think sometimes hard work in itself can be a talent. Because 100%. when you look at the fact that when I look at we brought up Punk here, the fact that he plays, when a new fighting game comes out, he's playing it. He's streaming it. He's trying to play in tournaments. He's actually caring if he wins or loses. We just seen him and Hotashi play and stuff like that, right? And all the characters that he plays in Street Fighter 5 as well, right? To me, that's love, what we're seeing right there. That means that he just enjoys this stuff to a level that most people probably don't. Even if you really, really, really enjoy this, he may not even realize how much he loves this stuff. But you don't put in that much time, and that must mean that where we see I'm saying as far as just people in general, you see an ink blot, and it's okay, you see these two colors. He just sees all these different possibilities, like a kid in a candy store. Oh, but look at Ed, his flicker over there. Oh, but Geef with the command grab. Oh, Colleen has, and I feel like that's more so how stuff works for him. So naturally, he's gonna want to put more time and effort into it, so he's gonna get more return. So I guess for now, I'll just leave it at that, because there's so much more I want to talk about with this, but I want to make sure you get your take off too, so we can go back and forth on this.
Well, I will say, if you are 7 feet or taller, there's a 17% chance you're in the NBA.
That's
what I'm going to go with.
Legitimately true?
That's a legitimate stat. If you are 7 feet or taller, there's a 17% chance that you're in the NBA.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
I'm going to start off. You start off with the hard work angle first. I'll start off with the talent angle first. Okay. Talent 1000% exists. Your genetic predisposition to how you are as a human being influences and affects everything about your life. That's a fact that you cannot deny that. There's implications for, you know, how you are, the way you think, the way you operate influences the way you approach things. Now, however, once you have that established, throw it out the window, because it's not worth worrying about anymore. Going from a personal angle, once you have that established, that, oh, I don't have natural proclivity to quickly learn a fighting game. Well, work on it. What are you gonna do? Are you gonna give up right then and there? You know what I mean? I totally agree with your take about the copium argument, because people like to just use that as excuses, because you cannot compare yourself to other people. You can use that as a benchmark every now and then. But if you are someone who doesn't learn fighting games fast, work on learning how to learn them faster. Work on how to learn them better. You have to work with whatever cards you're dealt with in your life, and that's the best you can do. So yes, I definitely think talent exists. Like I would consider myself someone who learns fighting games slowly, but that doesn't stop me from trying to learn how to learn, because I think that's an important skill to have. I think some people have a natural talent or inclination to know how to learn.
There's a book called The Art of
faster.
Learning people should check out.
Of course, like there's tips you can pick up, because learning how to learn is, I think, a super important skill, and that's one of the things that fighting games have taught me a lot, is how to approach learning a new skill. Because the reason I even play Street Fighter at all is because I sucked at it. That is the number one reason why I'm here today. I had always been good at video games until I picked up Street Fighter 4, and I was like, I cannot believe how bad I am at this. So that stuck with me. And because I'm stubborn, that's my natural talent right there, is being stubborn. I said, I cannot let this game beat me, and I will bang my head against the wall and learn as slow as I do until I finally start getting some W's. And that took a long time, because I did not learn fast at all when it comes to this game. But yeah, talent exists. But the problem is, if you don't put in the work at some point, there's maybe a limit in your potentially, but you're never gonna know where that limit is unless you give it your all. And that's what we've seen with every sort of pursuit. I feel like athleticism, it's a bit, I kind of like video games a bit more than athletics sometimes, because sometimes there are like immediate factors that kind of eliminate you from the competition, right? I feel like sports kind of favor certain body types, certain characteristics of a person. Like, are you tall? Are you this? Are you that? Are you fast? Are you a heavyweight? You know what I mean? Like, certain sports favor certain people, and I feel like fighting games, since it's all mental, I feel like there's just a lot more potential for anyone to try to see how far they can potentially go. So yeah, talent definitely exists. It's going to impact how fast you learn. Maybe, I wouldn't say reactions. That's the common one people bring up. I think that's also a learned skill for most people. But yeah, it exists. But who cares? That's what I think.
Actually, I know I already said talent exists, but maybe I want to say something I'm back in. I know, I think more so, maybe it's semantics, but I think inclinations, like natural inclinations, exist.
Yeah, I agree. I think talent oversimplifies it, and it packages it in a neat way for people to use as excuses. It 100% agree. I think it's more like how your mind works.
Yeah, but even if you are just as hardworking of a person, or more hardworking of a person, but you just aren't as interested in that subject as that person, you're not going to be able to
your
get
focus
the same
is going to be
results.
less too. I feel like your active focus is different. Like, spending hours it's not the same quality of time as anyone. Like, if you're banging your head against the wall doing a subject that you don't really care about, your mind is wandering. You're not maybe necessarily focusing all your energy and absorbing it. And this is how it is. And I just want to comment on your point earlier about, you brought up like Punk and Justin. They put in their 10,000 hours before you even heard of them. You know what I mean? Like, Punk was playing fighting games since he was a kid. He told stories about playing with his older brother. He's just always played games growing up. And I think that does have, our minds there's the plasticity of the brain is something that's been studied for a long time. And that's definitely a common theory right now. I don't know if it's been changed since I was last in school, but that's a theory. Like, things you grow up around, your mind has the ability to warp and kind of acclimate to certain things, especially when you're younger, that slows down as you age. So I do think there's something to be said for people who pick up the games earlier and really gear their interest towards that. They might be ramping themselves up to learn faster, but the main thing is they put in the hours. I
want to ask you about, so there's something I want to ask you about with this, right? So what if you are someone who's trying to be the best? Can anyone be the best, right? Because when you look at it, for a long time, I was under the impression that I felt like natural talent really didn't exist, so on and so forth, right? But then I noticed in all of these different games, like genres, there is that guy that exists, that is for years the best, or at least within it only ever falls to like top 3 temporarily or something, then comes back. It makes you wonder, right? Like, are we saying that no one has worked as hard as Michael Jordan since Michael Jordan and before? Are we saying that no one has worked as hard as Floyd Mayweather, as Punk or Taquito in Street Fighter 5? Like, so it makes you wonder, and if there really is that ceiling, that kind of goes into the point of destiny and all that sort of thing, right? But if there is that sort of ceiling, then it is entirely relevant for you to care, I guess, about natural talent. You can't just throw it away.
I think you're getting into the philosophy of it. What are you trying to achieve with your life? Are you trying to pursue this passion because you want to be the best, or are you trying to just be the best at all costs at anything? Because I do think there's a philosophy of fail quickly and move on. Other people follow that philosophy. They just want success in any realm, no matter what. And I think if you're trying to find out what you're good at and you don't care the topic, find out what you're good at quick. Fail quick, move on. If you don't have an inclination for it, move on.
That's fine.
But that's not for everybody. That's not what this is for me. This was not. I was not good at this. Like I mentioned my whole story, I was bad at this and I wanted to get good. So maybe I don't have the talent. That's why I've always stressed for people, it's not something that I was quick at, and I try to show that learning process, especially when I do my content and whatever. Like, I struggle, bro. Like, it's not easy. I pick up a new character, I get my ass beat just like anybody else. I have to take the time to learn. I'm not a day one prodigy like Punk is with every single character. He's going on 50-game win streaks and ranked, right? So he's that guy. I'm not. I'm the guy who has to sit there and put in the work in. But you know what? At the end of the day, I love doing it. I love seeing the progress. So you're right. That does exist, but that's why I'm stressing. If it bothers you that much, move on, find what you're good at. But otherwise, for the rest of us, we're in for the journey because we love this thing right here. We love fighting games. We love competing in this realm, and we want to be the best at all costs. Even if it's not going to come true, you won't know until you try. So you can either live with that doubt forever and let it haunt you, and constantly be searching for the next thing to be good at, or you can buckle down and enjoy the journey with the rest of us. And I think me and you, we kind of chose that. We know what we're in for. We know what ride we're in for. We're not coming out the gates winning, but we're down to put the work in and see where it goes. So at the end of the day, I think it's about just seeing where your passion lies.
Brian, that was so eloquently put, and easily this is one of my favorite topics that we've ever done on No Neutral.